We're here at Ceredo, West Virginia, at the Ceredo Plaza, and we're at the 17th annual AACA, Huntington AACA Car Club Show. And standing to the left of me is our club president, Carol Browning, and my name is Jack Streets. I'm going to be walking around with Doug here today, and we're going to look at some cars. So, Carol, can you tell us a little bit about the club, its origins, and what we do?
I can tell a little bit. The AACA was organized in November of 1935. That's the National Organization Antique Automobile Club of America, headquarters in Hershey, Pennsylvania. The Huntington AACA received its charter from the National in February of 1964. We have hosted two national shows, one I believe in 1972 and one in 1987. We were the first club in this area to present a car show in Huntington. And the purpose of the club is dedicated to the restoration, preservation, and maintenance of antique vehicles. And we find a lot of pleasure in the antiques. People put a lot of work and money into them. We think it's a very worthwhile hobby.
My first Chandler car, I think, it was 1969. And I bought it. It was a 1929 model 65 from California. In California, this man advertised in Hemmings that he had a car for sale, and Jim Lackey, president of our club at the time, told me, said, "John, I found the car that you're looking for. It's in California, and you ought to call him and see what he wants for it." So I did. We negotiated, and I said, "Well, how am I going to get it to Huntington?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, I don't have a truck or trailer. I can't come after it." He said, "Well, I have a trailer, and you just pay me the gasoline tickets that I fill up my tank, and I'll give you all the slips, and just pay me the gasoline tickets, and I'll bring it home to you." So I did. That was a four-door sedan, black. My grandson said it's called Black Beauty because when I had it painted, it was a beauty. Then after that, I sold it to get these convertibles and roadsters. And this is a 1925 Roadster with the big six engine. The other car had a small six engine, but this one's got a big six. And it's in original condition now. Had a terrible time getting it in original condition because I wanted to get everything according to documents. So then after I got this car, I bought another Chandler Roadster, blue and white. This is a brown and beige, and it's almost identical, but it's a year newer. It's a 1926. And then we can take a little walk over here, and you can see the 1929 that I've got.
Okay.
The 1929 is black with red wheels, and that car had been in Uruguay for many years. But when it came back to the United States, why, I found out about it in Hemmings, and it was a man in New Jersey across the river there from Philadelphia. So Mr. Weatherall and I went over to see about it, and he drove a pickup truck with a trailer on the back, and we bought this car here with the fenders all wired up with baling wire, and it looked in a terrible condition. But with enough money spent, enough hours spent, we got it in the condition you see today. We're very happy with the Chandler cars. The Chandler Car Company started in 1912, and the first car that they called was in August. They completed a car, and it was in 1913 they called it, and that was in 1912. So they're still doing the same thing. If August, they go to the next year. So consequently, they built cars until 1929, and in a very good shape compared to the way I got it. Wired up fenders, all the paint, rust, and everything you just couldn't believe. And my wife said, she saw it on the trailer, and she said, I think you ought to take it to Taylor's junkyard. It's so bad. But a little bit later on, I'd say about 5 years later, it took me to get this thing looking like it is now. So finally, she loved it.
Well, let me ask you a couple of questions real quick about these. I know that these Chandler cars, they share the same last name as you do, but you're in no relation. Is that correct?
That's not exactly correct.
Oh.
My generation of Chandlers came through Jamestown, Virginia, 1599. And Thomas Chandler fought in the Revolutionary War. And he came from England. So we know in England where he came from. So whenever I talk to the family, I've talked to the owner's family in Cleveland, Ohio, and they gave me the history of their genealogy, and we compared it, and they both came from the same farm in 1599.
So you are related.
We are, but that's long, long ways back.
Well, let me ask you something else. I know cars in this kind of shape, a lot of people will trailer them. Now, that's not the case with you. You actually put these cars on the roads, and you actually drove these cars here today. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. I was going to bring the other one, and I found out the battery only turned over once, and so I forgot to charge it up before it started. I was going to bring the third one, the 1925 Roadster. Or that's a 25. I was going to bring my 1926 Roadster, but the battery was down, so I didn't get to bring it.
So which one of these Chandlers of the three that you own is your favorite?
It's hard for me to say. It's like saying what's your favorite son or daughter. They're all my favorites. I just can't help from liking them all three.
That's a good answer. That's a good one.
And I've got 3 children, and each one of these is supposed to go to my children. So I wanted them to have a little love for the Chandler name.
Well, John, we really appreciate you talking about your Chandlers and showing them with us today. Is there anything else that you can think of you'd like to mention about them?
Well, I think there's about 800 and some odd, 830 or 40 cars known worldwide that still like mine. We got a club. We have a membership club called the Chandler Cleveland Automobile Club. And we celebrated our 100th anniversary in 2013 at Urbana, Illinois. And I didn't take the cars down there, but I took a lot of literature and things and met with a lot of people that I'd never met before. So it was an interesting 100-year celebration from 1913 to 2013, last year.
That is really special. Well, thanks again, John, for showing those beautiful Chandler automobiles for us today.
You're welcome.
So what did you bring here with us today?
That's a 36 Dodge Brothers, a 1.5
ton truck. And you were talking about the drivetrain on this vehicle. Is this the original drivetrain, transmission and engine?
Yeah, it's all original. That's the original engine, never been rebuilt or anything. It's all original.
That's great. Now this has got, as you said, it was a half ton or full ton? Ton and a half. And so it's got the dual wheels in the back to hold that heavy load.
Yeah, it's a heavy duty. Back in that day, it was heavy duty,
So where would you usually see this truck? Would it be on a farm? Would it be transporting goods?
Most likely on a farm, I think the old truck could set in a whole lot before I'd ever got it, because it's pretty decent shape, just faded out and everything like that. But it done a lot of work, but it done a lot of sitting inside somewhere, I guess.
When did you actually acquire this truck?
I've had it about 2 years. Just worked on it, in spare time. And of course, I had a guy paint it and put the upholstery in it, but I've done all the putting back together. This boy here, son-in-law.
Now, did you drive your truck here today, or did you obviously drove it, you didn't trailer it?
No, I hauled it. It's a little bit slow, about 40 miles an hour to top end. It takes you a while to get anywhere if you try driving it, but I hauled around a dual wheel trailer.
Where did you all come from today?
Come over to Canonsburg.
How much time did you actually have in restoring this vehicle?
Well, that's kind of hard to come up with. I've done a whole lot in the evenings, and then we'd work on the weekends. And me and him, we spent a lot of time on the bed. And that was a whole lot of it. I mean, but you know, getting it all painted apart and then bolting it all back together. I mean, you paint it while it's apart and then bolt it together, and that way you can get in the cracks and everything real good. It's been a job. It's quite a few hours. I couldn't hardly come up with hours, but a bunch.
What type of wood actually is used for the bed?
It's white oak. It's got the gun stock stain and polyurethane. It's got several coats of polyurethane on it, so what makes it shiny.
And how many speeds would this truck have? Is it like a 3-speed or is it 4 speeds? Or?
It's a 4-speed. Got the bulldog and then the 3 gears after. It's got a big gear, that pulls something heavy. But it's pretty strong considering as old as it is. 36 model. It's an old Dodge, but a lot of the old Dodge butters are, they're gone. You don't see too many. There's some cars and pickups and stuff around, but this one's the only one I've seen the Dodge butter 10.5. I mean, around, but there are probably some around, but I haven't seen them. So.
I'd say a lot of these got used and abused and probably were long gone even before, their time.
Well, back in their day, before the war, I'd say they needed some metal to make bombs and aircraft, whatever, and probably a lot of these old trucks got junked.
I'm glad that you were able to find this one and save it and bring it back to some of its original, the way it looked back in 36, 35. And thanks for sharing your truck with us today.
Okay, thank you.
What's your name again? I'm sorry.
John Clendenin.
John Clendenin, and we're here with his very special and very unique ride. Can you tell us a little bit about your ride? First, let's just get this the thing that sticks out the most out of the way. Where did you get this casket, and how did you come up with the idea to turn this into a car?
Well, actually, the fella that started it, we just went into the morgue and got it. And when he came home, his wife asked him, says, "What are you going to do with it?" And so when they had their problems, I got it from a buddy to save it.
I noticed there's a lot of other unique things about this car. What kind of motor is sitting here in this casket ride?
It's a Chevy 355.
And it looks like that your overflow for your antifreeze. Maybe we can look at it real quick. Where did you get that at?
That was actually a Crystal Head vodka bottle.
So it actually is a vodka bottle. That's kind of fitting. You probably don't want to drink too much vodka and then ride around in this.
My buddies helped me with that.
Oh, okay. Or they might end up just burying you with your car.
Yeah, don't drink and drive.
Now this is this any particular color of purple here?
That is the plum crazy purple from Dodge.
Plum crazy purple from Dodge.
We have a 68 Volkswagen front end. Then of course the rear end is a Chevy S10. Everything that was built on the car was actually made to fit the coffin. As far as the lights, they're all LED. All the turn signals do actually work.
So this car is street legal?
Yes. Yes, it actually is. It's an antique car. It's registered under antiques, but it is street legal. I've got everything from backup lights to mirrors, even seatbelts.
And how many years have you been showing this car?
This is actually the second show.
So this is only the second time that it's actually been out to be shown?
Yes, sir. Yeah, this will be I've been working on it for a year in the garage, and then before that was a year building.
Tell us a little bit about what you brought here today.
I brought a 1937 Ford pickup truck. It's got a 347 stroker Ford motor in it. Everything on this truck is just about new. It took 2 years preparing this truck, building this truck.
And I know a lot of people sometimes put Chevrolet engines in trucks and cars that they may have restored, but you actually said that this one does have, it's a Ford body with a Ford motor.
This one has actually a Ford motor in it. It's a 347 stroker motor, and again, this is a metal frame truck too. It's not a all fiberglass kit. This is all metal truck.
So everything you see here is metal, even the fenders?
The fenders are fiberglass. Okay. The rest of the truck is all metal. The hood, the bed has got cherry oak in it. Instead of just oak, it's got cherry oak. And it does a lot better, gives you a lot better color to it.
And how long did it take you to put this truck together?
This truck has been in 2 years of getting it ready. A guy in Lucasville, Ohio, Mike Newton, built this truck for me. This truck originally came out of Texas, and I bought it. But when I bought it off the computer, sometimes you don't get what you buy. So we sitting up there and had it worked on.
And who did you say did the interior for you?
Kermit Vickers done the interior. He's about 70-some years old, and I just gave the truck to him. I told him, I said, listen, you know more about the interior than I do. You fix it. And if you look, he done a beautiful job on the inside.
Well, one thing I noticed that stuck out to me was the hood on this particular truck. Was that something that you all came up with and made, or was that the way that this truck would have originally came?
No, we made this hood right here. If you'll notice, all the older trucks had a hood come up on each side. Then you had a rod that came up and held it up. We took that off. We welded the hood solid. We fixed the, they call this a clamshell hood on this right here. And it's Mike Newton's design there. He done a good job on it.
It's a very beautiful truck. I'd really like to thank you for showing me. What else you got?
One more question. Tell me what those headlights come off of.
That is a good question. Where did those headlights come off of, and where are they from?
Those headlights came off of a tractor and trailer. It's a Kenmore headlights for a tractor and trailer.
So a big rig.
Big rig. That's a big rig.
Do you get a lot of light with those?
Oh yes. Every light on this car is LED lights too. It's even got lights underneath. If it was dark out here, you'd turn the lights on. He'd show red all underneath this truck right here. This one's got a few shows right now with. It's my second year of X. I showed it last fall, and I'm showing it again this summer. So this is actually the second season that we've actually showed this truck right here.
And where did you come from today?
I'm originally from Lenore, West Virginia. That's in Mingo County.
Tell me what you brought.
It's a 1970 Plymouth CUDA AAR, All-American Racer. Just 2,700 of them were made back in 1970. Were designed from the factory as a race car. It has two different size tires on it. It has a six-pack on it. It's a 340 pack. And they didn't put no six-packs on other cars other than this AAR CUDA that year, 1970.
Just to clarify, a six-pack has to do with the carburetor, right?
Three two-barrel carburetors.
And the way I understand it is, as long as you're just cruising down the road and not really giving it the gas, it runs off the middle one, and as soon as you open it up, it'll open all six.
Yeah, it's correct. You're right on it. That's the way it was. It has a pistol grip in it. It's kind of unique, but it looks like a pistol grip of a gun, but it's kind of neat the way they made them.
And
it's a local car. It was originated out in Wayne County, and I'm the fourth owner of the car.
And did you drive this car here today, or did you trail it?
I drove it here.
So this car is on the road?
Yes, when I take it anywhere, I don't trailer it, except if it would be a long distance, like from here up to Michigan or something like that. I don't want to put that many miles on it.
Right. And like you said, this car is one of how many?
2,740 cars.
So it's a pretty rare car.
Yes, it is.
Well,
the color of it is called Plum Crazy Purple. And it was on the TA Challenger, which is the Dodge version of this. And they raced it in Trans Am racing. They raced it against the Mustang, the AMX, and also the Chevy Camaro. And then the TA Challenger was the Dodge. So there was 5 different brands really raced in the Trans Am racing.
It's pretty hard to beat Mopar in a straight line, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I own a 446-pack Roadrunner automatic, and it will outrun a Hemi from a stop from 0 to 60, but beyond 60, look out. The Hemi's going to take you. It is a fine automobile, and there's very few around because they just let them go. You know, they raced them and they dogged them, and then a lot of them just plain rotted to the ground. They just wasn't that many of them available. This is kind of rare to have this and with still a local owner.
And you did looks like you did a pretty extensive restoration on this. Was this a frame-off restoration?
This was a rotisserie. It actually was put on a rotisserie. You could turn it over, paint it on the bottom. It is painted right now on the bottom, just like it is on the top. So it's put on a rotisserie and everything completely put back to normal. It took 1 year, one man, 6 days a week to finish it.
So he worked on it pretty much every day for every day, 6 days a week at least, for a year. So that's actually working on it pretty hard and getting it done pretty quick.
If you've seen the pictures, it's in the back of the car, you could realize exactly how intense it was involved in having the work done, because of it had a state road sign for a trunk when I bought it. It had rotted bad.
Did you keep that road sign?
No.
Well, we'd like to thank you for sharing some information about the CUDA that you brought today. And what was your name again?
Roy Dennison, South Carolina.
And this car did originate in Wayne County.
Wayne County, West Virginia. That's where it comes from. A 19-year-old boy. His dad bought it for him to drive back and forth from Columbus, Ohio. That's where he worked.
It's a lucky boy.
Yeah, he was. He's still alive. And he sat in it after I finished it, and I asked him if it was good as it was when he bought it. He said it's 3 times better.
Here, and we got another beautiful Mopar machine here. It's a 69 Dodge Super Bee. Could you tell us a little bit about this car?
That's 69 383 hypo car, automatic. Been working on it for 3 years there, and just got it out about 2 months ago.
What kind of paint color is this?
They call it different colors. Some says burnt orange, but it's more of a bronze metallic.
So how would this car differ from, say, a Super or a Roadrunner?
It's basically the same body style, just a little more features to the quarter panels, and dash is a little different there, instrument panels and stuff, but basically the same cars as 68 and 69 Roadrunners.
But when you honk your horn, you don't get the beep beep, do you?
No.
So what kind of motor does this particular, I think you said it had a
383 hypo in it.
And it doesn't have a 6-pack, right? It's just 4-barrel?
Yeah, 4-barrel.
4-barrel carburetor?
Yeah. Automatic.
How long have you actually owned this car?
About 3 years. Just been redoing it in the garage for 3 years and had it out about 2 months now.
And where did you come from today?
Crown City, Ohio.
Crown City, Ohio. Did you drive this car or did you trailer it?
Drive it.
You drove it here?
It's a driver.
Do you put it on the road often or just on the weekends?
Try to get it out through the weeks and stuff, Yeah, it's, like I say, it's a driver.
And it's got a vinyl top, I noticed.
Yes.
Have you always been a Dodge Chrysler Plymouth man?
Yes.
Have you ever owned any other vehicles other than?
Yeah, I've owned, it's my wife's 55 Chevy here, but yeah, I try to stay in the Mopar line.
Do you ever take it out and drag it?
I play around with it, but
we won't talk about that, right?
Yeah.
You keep it under 55, right?
Yeah, try to.
Well, thanks again for showing it to us. And your name was?
David Walters.
Thank you, David. All right, John, can you tell me a little bit about something about your car and what you brought today?
Well, this is a 1961 Corvette, 2-top car, 283, and it's an automatic, which is pretty rare. Originally, it was a radio delete car, and just kind of a plain Jane Corvette back then, but not so much now. Not too many of these left around.
I heard somebody ask you something about air conditioning, and I think you made a little joke about it's 260 air.
260 air, 2 windows down, 60 miles an hour, and you got air.
So you might have mentioned it before, I don't remember, but what type of motor does this Corvette have?
It's got a 283 4-barrel, 230 horsepower. You got a generator on them. If people that don't know, these cars had generators on them. And it's got that drove the tachometer, so you could tell how fast the motor was going.
Instead of like an alternator, right?
Yeah, right, instead of an alternator. The alternator didn't come out till 63.
Okay, and this is a 61.
Right, 61.
And how many owners has this car had?
For a fact, I know that I'm the 4th owner of this car. The man that had it before me had it for 47 years. And the only reason he got rid of it, he said he couldn't drive it no more.
And you brought the top with you today. Now, am I correct that the top actually does come off?
Right. It's a 2-top car. The other top is down under that piece right there. It's a convertible top, white convertible top. And like I say, it didn't have a radio in it. And they offered power steering on General Motors back then, but just not on this car. And it'd be a real headache to put it on there now.
Well, it's a very beautiful car, and thanks for bringing it out and sharing it with us. Well, it looks like you brought a very nice Chevy here today. I believe it's a 55, is that correct?
That's correct. 1955 Chevy, two-door post sedan car.
And how long have you had this vehicle?
I bought it in 2000, I believe. I don't remember exactly what month, but it was somewhere in the summer months of 2000.
Did you actually do restoration on this vehicle, or was it pretty much like it is when you bought it?
No, I pretty much took the car apart, me and my son, and stripped it clear down to the metal, and took it all apart, had the interior, the dash, and all of the wiring out of it. Did everything but take it off of the frame.
So it's a two-tone red and white top. Is that a specific color of red?
No, it's just a bright red. I'm not even sure if it is a General Motors red, but we just kind of got in a color book and picked it out.
What type of motor do you have in this Chevy?
It has a older model 350. It's been bored to 30 over, which makes it a 355 cubic inch, 4-bolt main. I've got aftermarket Edelbrock performer heads and a little mild cam and aftermarket intake, headers. And runs probably about, I haven't had it dynoed, but estimate about 425 horsepower.
That's a lot of horsepower in this car, but this is still a heavy car.
That's correct, Jack. It's because of the weight, it is a lot of weight, but it does pretty well. It has a aftermarket 12-bolt with a 373 ring and pinion, and makes it pretty good for a low-end torque.
I'll tell you what, it's a really beautiful car.
Thank you very much. I like to play around with it.
Now, did you drive your car here today?
Yes, I did, and I consider it my car, but naturally my son's got a lot of money invested in it too, and so it's something that he'll have eventually.
So it is a father-son project.
Yep, that's how it started out, and still continues to be that way. We both enjoy it.
We're talking about Joe, right?
That's correct.
We're here with Bob Bryant, and he brought a very special Mustang here today. This is a 66 model, I believe.
Correct. 66.
And there's something that, if you're a Mustang fan or you know something about classic cars, you might notice. But for those that don't, what's different about this the seat here?
Well, it's an original bench seat, 1966 convertible, and it is a very late production 66 Mustang. And I've talked to a few people with a Mustang Monthly about it. I inquired about the car's paint code, which is a Brittany blue, which is a 67 color.
So that is that color in particular. It's a 67 color on a 66 car, right?
Right, and there was only a few of them available because it's a late production availability on this color. But I asked them about the bench seat, and they said, well, you may want to consider this car. It might be very rare because it may be, according to the production numbers, one of the last or the last bench seat convertible ever produced in 1966. Unfortunately, Ford didn't keep records until 1967, so we got no way of proving this to be the last, but it's probably one of the last, maybe the last.
And how many did you say they actually built in 66?
3,100 and change.
So you've got one of 3,100 and change.
Right, and probably the last one.
And this car does have a 289 motor in it, right?
289, automatic transmission, power steering. Everything about the car is original.
How long have you owned this car?
24 years now.
24 years. Do you know how many owners this car has had?
Not really. I know of 3.
Know of 3?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful car, I gotta say. I'm partial to Mustangs, though.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you could think of that you'd like to share with us about your car today?
Other than the fellow that did the paintwork, which was done in 1995, it has never been touched since 1995. And he's sitting back here with me. My son took it down to bare metal and painted it, but the car has never been in the top of 95. The car is done in 1995 and has never been touched since.
So it's got quite a bit of time since the restoration.
It has.
Well, it's a beautiful car, Bob. We really appreciate you.
Well, thank you.
We're here with Jim Lackey in his 1931 Ford Roadster. I'm glad that you brought this car here today. Is there something you'd like to tell me about your car, where you got it, or how long you've had it?
Well, I bought it in New Jersey in 1999. I just wanted a Model A Roadster to drive, and it came available, and I purchased it and went up and hauled it home, and had it and drove it ever since. It's just a fun driver. It's not a show car, but it's just a car to have fun with. I had a 1923 Jordan Playboy, which was a show car, which won national honors, grand national honors, but I got too old and beat up to take care of it, so I sold it to somebody who could, and so I'm drive this. I would buy another one of some kind one of these days, but when you're 78-year-old, you like them to be a little easier to get in and out of.
Yeah. Now, what type of motor does this Roadster have in it?
Just a little 4-cylinder flathead engine. The gearing is mainly how you get your performance out of this car. There are no great performer as far as power is concerned, but with the gearing, why they were able to go a lot of places other cars wouldn't. But it's still just a small displacement, 29-30 horsepower. But the horsepower was rated, of course, different then than it is now. But anyway, it's just minimal transportation then, and that's what made the Fords so popular, that you could buy a Ford for a percentage of what some of the other bigger cars cost, both the Model T and the A. But Henry Ford put the working man on wheels, so you got to give him credit for that.
Now, does this car have a rumble seat in the back?
It does. It does, and I'll open it if you want me to.
Now, that's something that probably wouldn't be very comfortable riding around in for an extended period of time, right?
Well, I always thought I wanted to ride in a rumble seat till I did, and I just as soon to be strapped to the back of a bucket mule as ride the rumble seat anymore. I don't care for the rumble seat, I can tell you that right now.
Okay, well, we're here with Ron Ferguson, and he brought a special car that he's had. I know they've worked on it for quite some time, I believe. Maybe he can tell you a little more about it. What did you bring here today?
This 66 Ford Fairlane GTA. I bought it in '67, December of '67, so I've had it for 47 years. We just got through restoring it. It took 22 months.
So you were the only, you're the original owner and only owner of this vehicle?
No, I'm the second owner. Somebody bought it new in '66, and I bought it in December of '67.
Okay, but you basically had it for most of the time.
Years. 47 years I had it, yeah.
And what kind of motor is in this car?
That's 390 high output.
With a 4-barrel carburetor?
Yeah, that original equipment was Ford carburetor, but this has got a Holly on it. I changed that in '68.
So this car, you said that you've restored it, and how long has it been since you've restored this car?
We got it done the day before the World of Wheels opened in Huntington. We got it done on Wednesday, and we had to take it up there on Thursday.
And from what I understand, you won the class in World of Wheels, correct?
I won the restoration class for the years that it was eligible for, yes, sir.
It's a very beautiful car, and that car, I believe, if I'm correct, has been been in Canova, correct?
Yeah, I've had it. Been sitting in Canova for probably 35 years or so.
So is it still in Canova now, or?
Oh yeah, same place. Just inside. It's just keep it inside now.
Not as many people get to see it, but now it's a lot better looking than it was.
That's why it stays inside, keep it better looking.
Exactly. And I noticed on your board that you said that this car has about 95% of the original parts?
Yeah, we couldn't figure out the exact amount, but it's right at 95%.
So basically what you see is what came on it for the most part?
Right. There are a few aftermarket parts, but not very many.
And what kind of color is on this car?
This is Saturn Gold Iridescent. It changes colors and different light.
Okay, I'm here with one of our other club members, Debbie Hoback, and she brought a really cool Ford here today. Debbie, what can you tell about this Ford here?
Well, it's a 1946 Ford Coupe Deluxe. The previously owned by Doyle Lawson of Doyle Lawson and Quicksilver Bluegrass Band.
And how long have you owned this car?
About almost 2 years.
And did you do any work on it, or did it come like this?
It came pretty much like this. It had a little bit of problem with the paint on the hood, and I just had the hood repainted. And the rest of it is the way it came.
Well, it's a really beautiful car. And how long have you been here with the Antique Automobile Club?
I've been with the club since I got the car, so about 2 years.
About 2 years now.
This is my second show.
Excellent. About how many people do we have at our club right now? And is it a good mix of men and women?
It's a good mix of men and women, and we have probably 30 couples. It's not a big club, but we do meet the second Saturday of each month, and we have various locations that we meet. Usually it involves preparing the food ourselves or going out to dinner, and the ladies love that.
So today we had about 100 cars, maybe a little bit over 100 cars show up. Earlier today we unfortunately had some inclement weather, and that's what we think kind of stifled our numbers this year. But I know last year we had about 150 cars, maybe 150 plus, wouldn't you say?
That's right.
And we had a really good turnout even though, and had a great time. And we hope that maybe next year we can have even more cars. So if you've got a classic car out there, if you're interested in joining a club, we've got one, and we'd love to have you. Huntington AACA, and thanks for watching today, and thanks for coming out and looking at the cars. Thanks, guys.